Of the Biloxi City Council on this day of November 7th, 2023. Please rise for the invocation by Dr. Paul Tisdale.
Lord, when I have food, help me to remember the hungry. When I have work, help me to remember the jobless. When I have a warm home, help me to remember home. When I am without pain, help me to those. Remembering, help me places. Make me concerned enough to help by word and deed. Cry out what we take for granted.
Mr. Guines, will you lead us in pledge?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Okay, being that there is no change to the agenda, do I have a motion to accept the agenda as presented?
Second.
Moved by Mr. Guines, seconded by Mr. Tisdale. All in favor? Unanimous vote. This brings us to the public agenda, presentation agenda, sorry. Mayor's report.
Yep, thank you, Madam President. I'd like to welcome everyone to our November meeting, first meeting. And that almost concludes my report, but I would ask the council to spread the expenses of the Biloxi Travel credit card to the minutes. And that does conclude my report, unless I forgot something.
Tell everybody to vote if they haven't voted.
Yeah, well, maybe last opportunity. Few minutes. Anyway, yeah, everybody vote. And that concludes my report.
All right, we'll start with Mr. Lawrence. Any council reports?
Yes, last Thursday, we cut the ribbon underneath the interstate on the pickleball court. So that looked pretty good at 2 courts. Are y'all planning to add any more, or are we just going to stay with 2?
Just those two, I think, at this point.
Okay. And who's going to maintain it? I know the nets are removable,
I think,
so they at the bond house,
I think,
Now that's still Main Street.
the
I think
nets.
it's Main Street is kind of handling the movement of that, right, okay?
The nets are over here. And we set a schedule, to take the nets out, so I went and set them up this morning, every Tuesday and Thursday. We will, Lori and I will set up the nets at 9 a.m. and take them down at 5 p.m. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, anyone can come and rent them from us and check them out and set them up themselves. It takes about 5 minutes to set them up. And on the weekends, Dave at Paloma has said that, we keep them, so you can come and get them from him and check them out from him. So, that's what we're doing for now. We hope to get a box up there with a termination lock or something, so that people can just get them in and out themselves. So for now, that's what it is. They're foldable and real easy to set up, and some of them in 5 minutes.
Well, did y'all have anybody check them out during the week?
Well, we just had to do today's the first day. We set them out.
Okay.
So, and there were people using them today. So we'll see tomorrow. I've talked to several people. I've been talking to people that played today, and they're excited. They're gonna come back and bring, and there's more people coming. When I was taking the nets down this afternoon, somebody stopped and was excited about coming and playing. So we've had great, conversations with everybody about it. So,
Well, okay.
yes, it's already on there. We talked to Tom Lindenberger, and it's already on the very website. Our schedule, we posted it on the Main Street page and on the football site as well. So, one thing we did, the lights are not working up there, so if anybody ever wanted to play at night, right now it's not an option.
One other question, does anybody can park under there? Or are we not allowing parking at all?
There's 3 sections of parking. So if people wanted to park, there's about 10 spaces now that's parkable without parking on the pickleball courts themselves.
Okay, so you have parking available? Okay. All right.
The very back side. That's why we were gonna do 3, but we decided to go with 2, so that's parking and also
know we cleaned out the homeless camp back there, so something we have to make sure we keep the homeless moving. You know, whether the chief got to do it or something. I know you don't have staff to do that, but I mean, the people playing pickleball, they're not the youngest people in the world. You know, so I'm just worried about them.
Stand out there that people could call if they got scared or anything. And, here, we were worried about balls on the street, but that's not the case. We just let the play today said that's not, that it stops as soon as it hits that dirt, the gravel on the other side, and they don't go to the street. And so they said that's not an option, so we're, you know, we also have some bollards ordered instead of the cones, it'll look a lot nicer. So we'll have a chain and the bollards put up so that we can sort of chain off or be a little safer, but actually, that's gonna be a lot better as well. So that's coming, I ordered that.
And one of the questions we on the first Friday, what happened to the merchants? You used to have merchants selling their wares. Is there some reason we don't have them anymore to come to first Friday? Because they brought a lot of people.
Well, this time of year, this was our last one for a while, we'll revisit that when we start back in March.
Okay, so that was the last one.
Yes, that's the last one for the year, we're gonna have the 11th one in January, and, all we cared about this was January.
So you come back you come back in January or the spring?
We'll just come back in January for a bonus First Friday, it'll be the pop-up that we're gonna do in conjunction with the Post Carnival, but, otherwise we'll start back in March.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
That's it.
Okay, Mr. Guines?
Okay, yeah, and just to put stone what George was talking about, it looked very good up under there. Cleaning all up under the bridge, we noticed that it was pressure washed, good atmosphere. And long as you have activities, you don't have a problem with the homeless because there's activities going. Other than that, I noticed the,
Signs, about the signs, nobody mentioned.
oh yeah, the signs, the signs was great. Clamped onto the bridge, all the above. And I noticed the paving going on Estes Boulevard, and it's looking very, very good. That concludes my report.
Mr. Deming?
Do we have any updates on the lights? I don't know if on the Pops Ferry Sports Complex, I don't know if this should be directed to Mike or to Ms. Labata.
I actually do have an update on the lights, both the soccer and the tennis. Got the RFP on our soccer lights, so that will be going out here probably. We will have those out here.
Okay, what about the dog park?
I don't know. Lights or the like accessory.
The funding for doing the shades, the
I'm not sure about that.
Right, I know that we talked a few weeks ago when you said in a couple weeks we would be able to determine where the fund, or how to disperse the funding for this. And so, okay. Okay, well, keep me updated. Ms. Labata, I had it on my calendar to check at this time about the Campbell Drive drainage, but we've had no rain, so I'm just gonna reset it for another 6 months.
That's fine.
And
Yeah, we hadn't any rain, so we haven't heard from anybody, so far, so good.
what about paving? Where are we at on paving?
So we finished the streets that are in the Ravenwood, Laurelwood, all of those streets there. We're now moved to downtown. Once we're finished downtown, which will be Georgia or Esther's, what else? I think that's it. Then we'll be moving back.
Teresa Court is one.
Yeah,
Well, Teresa Court's on the other side, that's my side.
that's yours. Then we'll be moving back up there to get like Melbourne, Cambridge, Teresa Court, that area.
Okay.
And that's, once we finish that, that will be the end of our first phase. So we've got some second phases of streets we've been working on with the mayor, just waiting for some funding to come in for that, and we'll move on to the next phase after that.
Okay. What's the time, what's the projected time frame?
For the second phase or
To
for?
get over to,
I bet probably, Esther's is pretty big, maybe about 2 weeks.
okay, I won't hold you to it, I'm just,
Yeah,
okay,
About 2
just something
weeks.
to hope for.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
great.
We're gonna get there, finally.
Yep, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Tisdale?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm just enjoying the quiet.
Being quiet.
Is there an update on Fire Station 5? We talked about renovating it. I can't recall if we've established a capital project. I think we may have, and I know funding, we hadn't lined up funding for that, but are we moving forward on that, or where are we on that?
I think
Item.
we established a budget, didn't we? 1.5?
Its design is complete. We're just waiting for the funding to be released. At this point in time, it's, have the money to put it on the street.
Okay. And then I recall, and this came up at the ward meeting in September, about water lines in Bay Vista, in this case west of Rich Avenue, and I know that I think everybody agrees we need to replace the water lines there, but I think we're still looking for funding. Is there any update on that?
We'll be awarding the contract for the other half of Tanglewood at the next meeting.
Okay.
We have bids, good bids, and good competitive bids, nice tight group, and we're ready to make an award. We'll be on the next agenda. At the same time, we'll start a new capital project for water lines in Bay Vista, and
Okay.
we'll fund the design.
Okay. And I know that's just a part of all the phases that's got to go through, but at least it would be getting that started. Okay. The only other concern I have, and it may be that other council members have the same concern, and that is just speeding through neighborhoods. I continue to hear from constituents, and I don't want to put words in my colleagues' mouths, but I can recall maybe a year ago, we were all having issues with that. But it still continues, just where we put up stop signs, just running them. And I know the chief is challenged with staff and everything, but anything we can do to have a presence there, or write a few tickets, anything. And usually, as Chief Miller reminded me when I said write a few tickets years ago, most of the folks in my neighborhood got tickets. So, but it'd be great if we could, no, but the judge is a fair man. But I would, it's a concern in Ward 5. So anything we can do, write a few tickets, they'll give me the calls and that's fine. But that concludes my report. Thank you.
Mr. Glavin?
Thank you. I got a few things. Just on the same vein as physical fitness and sports. If you haven't attended a Biloxi High football game lately, they finished the season on a real high note, and the season's not over yet. They beat Harrison Central by 1 point, blocking an extra point in overtime. They followed that up this past Thursday with a big win over D'Iberville, 35-0. And now they got a tough draw. They go to Hattiesburg to take on Oak Grove. So we'll be cheering them on. I'm going to try to get up there and watch that game. The boys have really toughed it out this season. Real proud of them. On tennis court lights, I think at the next school board meeting, they're supposed to take the issue up and officially bless it, is what I understand, unless they run into any kind of roadblocks. So that's exciting. I know we've been working on this project for a long time and trying to get our ducks in a row and a consensus on the sharing of the expenses. So unless somebody knows anything different, I think that's teed up. And
That's true, and we're not going to wait for them. We're going to get the job out to bid.
and just ask for them to reimburse their share of the expenses.
We'll expect that. Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's good news. And I guess somebody's looked at these new lights and everything. They're going to illuminate the court, right? I had a tennis player the other night catch me when I was out there and said that there's a row in the middle. Is anybody aware of that issue?
So what we done in the RFP is I put in there for them to get that photograph
Awesome.
So that we'll have a plan, they have to prove to us that they meet that standard, and we should have good lighting, good coverage everywhere, that's included in this statute document.
All right.
We did say they would stop too.
Okay. That's great. Thanks for that update. Striping on Cedar Lake. I know they completed some repairs. They've striped Cedar Lake recently down the middle with the fluorescent yellow, but on the edges, are they going to go back the white striping along the edge of the road, or is there anything going to be done with that? Or are they going
I'll
to?
find out and I'll email you tomorrow.
Okay, it looks great, the yellow striping, but it's noticeable when you put brand-new striping, the faded striping on the sides or the missing striping on the very sides of the, the shoulders. And then dredging. I had a call yesterday from two people in the Brazier Bayou Sunrise area. They said they are hearing that some dredging is been approved, and I told them I'll ask. I haven't heard any updates on the dredging, and I know we're working with Seymour trying to get some mitigation with the SAV issue, and
They're still kind of working through that process. We may have gotten either the core permit or the DMR permit. I can't remember off the top of my head. But they will be getting, I'm glad you brought that up because I needed to tell y'all, they will be getting letters probably from the Corps of Engineers, public notices about this dredging here pretty soon. They asked for addresses, I believe last week from Seymour. So there will be letters going out. If you get phone calls, it's about the dredging.
it's creating a little buzz,
I'm sure,
already.
I'm sure.
So, okay.
I think we give them an update on what we met. We met with a vendor the other day. Last week or week before last.
Week
That
before last, yeah.
could deliver those things that we're expecting to do once we get the permits, so forth. But yeah, we're ready to mobilize and go.
Okay, excellent. With that, that concludes my report.
Thank you. And also, something else that's been creating a little buzz is the lighting at softball fields at Hiller Park. And I wanted to make sure, do we have that capital project item for Hiller Park earmarked?
We'll do it.
We do?
There is no capital project.
I said we'll establish that.
There is? Okay, cool.
Dixie, I want to ask some questions
Okay.
when you finish.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Popo, with the last several weeks, we've been talking about replacing the playground equipment at Miramar Park because it's in bad shape. It got sharp edges. What have we done to do that?
I'm not sure, Sherry, if we looked at the problems and at Miramar, is there any, none yet? Okay.
On the ladder and it's broke underneath.
Right. We'll just remove the dangerous parts. I think we could do that immediately and then replace it whenever
Yes, sir.
you receive the funding and the quotes and so forth, yeah.
All right, thank you.
All right, we'll go ahead and move on to the public agenda, citizen comments. We have a total time allotted of 45 minutes. Each person who would like to speak gets 3 minutes each to speak. Once you reach the desk here, please state your name and your address aloud for the record, but as well as write it down. Anyone on my left, your right, that would like to come up and speak?
Trying to be Christian.
My name is William Anderson, 9504 Sanctuary Boulevard, Ocean Springs. I'm here to speak on policy agenda item C. I just wanted to let you know that I was here. If you want to ask any questions about that agenda item, I'll be happy to answer them for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else on my left, your right, that would like to speak? Yes, ma'am?
You know, that's Dr. Kabir's house. It's in the back of the house, and he's gonna turn the office into duplex.
Okay, I'm Teresa Thompson, 1506 Avalon Drive. I'm here to represent some interested citizens about the Father Ryan rezoning case number 23089. We are opposed to the rezoning because it fronts Father Rhine as recognized by its address. It is not a beachfront property. There is only one entrance and/or exit, and it is to Father Rhine. It was an RS 75 because it was and still is a single-family residence. Father Rhine is an RS 75 neighborhood, which does not allow for short-term rental. Now, the only reason given for rezoning the 4 zones up from 7.5 through RS 10, RM 10, RM 20 to RM 30 is that they want to short-term rental on this property. Short-term rental would allow for commercial activities in the residential neighborhood and set the precedent that it can be allowed in other neighborhoods. Let's also realize that the zoning change would allow them to build 15 units on that property with limited access for ingress and egress without additional approvals, all of which is going out and in for the Rhine Street. According to the minutes of the Planning Commission, there seems to be some issues as to the actual property lines between the short-term rental lot and the Seashore Methodist Campground property. It was suggested that a survey be done, but it was sort of ignored in the commission meeting. We suggest that before this goes any further, that a survey be done to ensure that we know the correct size of the lots that are trying to be rezoned, and whether it has any issue with traffic flow in and out of property and allows for the correct amount of parking, et cetera, if they were going into a short-term situation. Or, according to the Planning Commission meeting minutes, a public hearing was an option. We would like to request a public hearing be heard because this has major impacts on the Father Rhine areas and all the West End neighborhoods and actually all Biloxi neighborhoods. This needs to be understood by the citizens that have chosen to live here and want to continue to live here. You need to hear their opinions. Thank you for your consideration.
Anyone else on my left, your right, that would like to come up and speak? Go ahead.
Good evening, council members and mayor. This is my first time actually talking to any politicians. I'm here for the policy agenda C, which is, I guess, a resolution. I moved here 6.5 years ago from South Florida. I'm a retired firefighter, captain from Palm Beach County. I fell in love with Biloxi years ago, and I couldn't wait to get here. And I had such a great opportunity 6.5 years ago to buy a property on the beach, which is my retirement treasure. And I live in the Pink House. You probably know the Pink House, south or west of the lighthouse. I'm the guy on the porch, and I love sitting there and doing my thing. And this resolution is regarding my neighbor. It's an unoccupied property right now. They want to have a conditional resolution to make it a duplex. I understand the law, and he has every right, the owner I'm speaking of, they have every right to have the property rental on a short-term basis. I understand that. That is not my objection. My objection is that this is a historic house that we're talking about in this instance. I live in a historic house, the Pink House. He lives right next door. There's a history there. And you all, what you do here is make decisions, good decisions, and some bad decisions, rarely. But you do make decisions on the future of the city. And I would like to ask and plead that you consider this in regards to the fact that it's an historic property. And when you change it to a duplex, as I understand it, the way the law is written here is they could rent it every day to another person. Not only one person, But now we're doubling that from a short-term rental to a duplex. Now we can rent it every day, twice, front, back, front, back, front. It could. Likely, no, but it could. And we have to be careful on what we vote on for the future of the city and the beautification. It does impact my neighborhood.
Sorry, sir, your time is up, but thank you very much for speaking.
Please consider my objection, please. Thank you. And it's been a pleasure and honor to address here.
What was your name again?
Oh, my name is Godfrey Meyer, Godfrey Meyer.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else on my right, your left, that would like to get up and speak? Anyone in the back? All right. Would you like to speak? No? Okay, citizen comments are now closed. Moving on to the policy agenda. Carrie, will you please read ordinance A?
Ordinance to approve a zoning map amendment to authorize a change in zoning for 2 parcels of land from RS75 medium density single-family residential to RM30 high-density multifamily residential for properties located at 1387 and 1397 A and B Father Ryan Avenue.
I move it for discussion as first reading.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion by Mr. Lawrence and a second by Mr. Glavin. Being a first reading, we will move on to resolution B.
Resolution to grant preliminary subdivision plat approval for 20 lots, single-family townhome subdivision for 2790 Beach Boulevard.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Tisdale, seconded by Mr. Lawrence. Any discussion, Mr. Tisdale?
Yes, Peter, I know that we had tabled this. I think from the last meeting, there was some language I think that you had revised. I don't know if that's accurate. I just know that the administration, I'm sorry, the other Peter. Go ahead, Jerry, I'm sorry.
The reason that this was tabled from the last time was because in the original application, they were asking that the parking area through these townhomes would be dedicated to the city as a public right-of-way. And we saw no value to the city. We would have no future use for that. It just didn't seem to serve the definition of a right-of-way. I mean, it's not going to be extended at any time in the future or anything. It would essentially be that we would have adopted their parking lot as a city right-of-way, so we would have assumed the maintenance. So that has been removed. They are not asking for the city to accept their parking lot as a improved right-of-way. So the only thing here is the plat.
Okay, and then looking at the diagram, it's an enclosed parking area, right? There's no through traffic. I mean, there's one way in and out.
That's correct, yes, sir.
I noticed in the narrative for that in our packet, about midway through that, it says there, this is the developer or the applicant, therefore we choose to install an interior street that meets the size and radiuses to accommodate the fire department's needs. But really, as you said, it's really a parking lot, although it's listed, I think, in the diagram as a roadway still.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree, I don't think we should accept that roadway or that parking area or any of the internal utilities. Can we add some language to that, Peter, just to be sure that's clear?
Well,
The resolution, I think, is going to make that clear.
it is. It's not in there. So you're not adopting anything that would accept the road right-of-way through there.
Okey-doke. The narrative notwithstanding,
We can strike the words roadway from the subdivision plat.
that would do it?
Yep.
Okay, I would make that motion to amend. If you'll tell me where it goes exactly, Peter, where you would,
I would add it to the,
could you wordsmith that amendment for me?
Can you put words in his mouth?
I won't move my lips.
I want to put it in the right resolution because we've got A, B, and C on this, right, Jerry?
Yes.
I mean, I have no problem with the project. I just want to be sure that it's, crystal clear.
Is the first one the approval?
Yeah.
It is,
Okay.
yes, sir.
All right. In the last paragraph, now therefore be it resolved, approve the requested subdivision plat. It says with the condition that the brick pavers are used. Let's just make the first condition with the condition that the roadway not be accepted.
I'll second it.
Okay, so that's the amendment. I couldn't have said it, better, Peter, because I didn't say it. You said it. Thank you. So I would move that amendment. I think Mr. Glavin second that if there's any discussion.
Any discussion? All in favor of the amendment? Unanimous?
Thank you. And that's all the discussion I have. Mr. Lawrence might have a comment or two.
Mr. Lawrence?
Jerry, we had this broke down in 1,200 square feet. You got two 1,500, two 1,260, and 10 1,600. How many separate buildings we have?
20. Well,
No, I know there's 20.
homes.
How many buildings? How many different buildings going to be there?
I believe there was 4. Let me get back to the plat.
Places for it. Call it the Kenny Anderson.
Freddie, is it 4 buildings?
What building? Are they all facing the water?
5 buildings.
5 buildings?
Yes, sir.
Did they all face the water?
They face DeBees Road. Yeah, what it is that they're building the convenience store at the corner of the Service Road and DeBees Road. These will be immediately north of that, but their ingress and egress will come off of DeBees Road.
Okay, so they'll be facing the Bees Road, not the.
Not the beach.
Okay, all right. I was just wondering if. So you would drive into that like a cul-de-sac?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Call for the question. All in favor? Unanimous vote. Brings us to Resolution C.
Resolution granting conditional use approval to authorize an existing single-family residence commercial office space to be converted into a duplex for 1120 Beach Boulevard.
I'll move that.
Motion by Mr. Lawrence,
I'll second.
second by Mr. Guines. Any discussion,
And,
Mr. Lawrence?
Several questions on this, Jerry. First of all, he started, Dr. Kabir was supposed to have been a doctor's office. Then he went after the crazy sign. Then he had the back part of the building. Now he wants to turn it into a duplex. And you've been through this with us several different times. We had a lot of problems. He never followed up with whatever he said he was going to do. He never did what he. So I have a problem accepting him to say he's going to build a duplex because of his back track record with us and the stuff he did was never easy. Never just anything we did with him was a big fight. And you probably know that better than anybody.
Well, we did have difficulty when he came through the first time. Now, the Kabirs have moved. They live in Huntsville, Alabama now. And what they're wanting to do is to use this as a duplex. Now, we've been through it. Our department's been through it along with the fire department. And there are 2 separate living units in the building already. And then in the very rear is Dr. Kabir's clinic. They meet the criteria. I mean, the short-term rental aspect is allowed as a use by right because it's zoned CB, and it's sitting right next to Chateau LeGrand Apartments and then 2 lots over from Hampton Inn Hotel. So they're on that
that west side of Azalea where you've already got the commercial uses right next to it. The conditional use is just to use it as a duplex, which is really the way it's designed. I mean, it's a two-story building, it's very large. It is a historic landmark, but there's nothing in the ordinance that prevents you from using a historic landmark as a duplex or as a short-term rental. So they meet the criteria. They have 7 bedrooms. They have 7 parking spaces. That's the requirement for short-term rental.
Yeah, but even the back part that he had it on, we had a fight with him doing all that.
Yes, sir,
That
but
was all done wrong. Didn't have parking. It's just anything we ever dealt with him, it's been a disaster.
Yeah. Now, he did agree. There is one house right behind it. And he did agree at the planning commission that he would build a solid fence between him and the house that sits behind it that faces Azalea. But if you consider this property, the Chateau LeGrand Apartments go much further north than Dr. Kabir's property goes. So, I mean, from a code standpoint, he meets the requirements.
Yeah, that might be true, but I mean, just dealing the front part of the house was the historical part of the house. The rest he had it on, he just had it on brick walls and whatever he put back there. Then he got the little cottage or whatever the little thing is sitting there in the driveway. What is that thing supposed to be?
That's a storage building.
That's a storage building. Are you gonna rent that too?
No, sir.
Well, I tell you what, I'd like to ask the council to table this, because I like to see everything he's gonna plan on doing, because I've had so much trouble, and you've been there too, Jerry, with him, and what he does, and what he don't do. According to even with the sign, this is one fight after one fight with him on anything he ever wanted to do. So I'm not just approving of the duplex for him. I just can't do that unless you break everything down.
Mr.
So
Lawrence?
give me some time.
Before you
I'd
do
like
that,
to table it.
he is in the audience if you would like to ask him a question.
Yeah, but that's not the problem. The problem is not him. The problem's not Jerry. It's Kabir is the problem.
Yep.
And that's the problem we've had every time with him.
Mr. Anderson, who stepped up and spoke before, is the property manager. He would be the one that would be within 30 minutes. He lives in Ocean Springs, so he would be the one to respond to any complaints or concerns about the property if this is approved. So
Right, that has nothing to do with what I'm trying to get done. He can't do anything. He's just a manager.
you want Mr.
My
Anderson?
thing is,
uh,
I'm asking y'all to table this because I want to see everything laid out by law that he's going to do by law, because he don't follow our laws at all. Every time we dealt with him, it's been the same thing. So I have a problem with that. That is a beachfront piece of property. That's a nice house on the front part, and he pretty much halfway destroyed that. So he's not going to do anything to benefit the city of Biloxi.
Well, now, again, I've been inside this house, and this house is in pristine condition. I'm telling you, on the inside of it, it clearly looks like a landmark.
You don't live there, Jerry. I got to tell you to protect these neighbors. Yeah, you go inside the house, and he'll tell you anything you want to tell you. He don't do it. He's done it 4 or 5 times already. So don't sit there and say the house is pristine and this is pretty. Anything we dealt with him has been a disaster.
I agree, Mr. Lawrence, but let me tell you, we deal with a lot of difficult people, and we can't turn people down just because they're being difficult. I mean, we have people in the office all the time that we have to work with and we have to exercise some diplomacy with, but ultimately, we ensure that whatever they're doing is code compliant. I mean, if we disqualify people just because they're difficult, then we'll cut out half the development that comes to Biloxi.
Well, sometime maybe we ought to do that, Jerry.
Okay, Mr. Guines, you got anything?
So I'm asking y'all to table this because I need everything laid out for me that he's actually going to do and says it right and right. So I'm asking y'all to table this. Give me some time to get all this information together. I'll bring it back to you.
All right, Mr. Guines, you got anything to add?
To call, please.
Do you want
Say
to
again?
do you want to see what everyone else has to say before you? Thank
Yeah, I
you,
got no problem with that.
Mr. Guines.
That's why we all sitting up here.
Okay, 2 questions. You want to turn it into a duplex? You were asking that they were going to turn it into a duplex?
Yes, sir. It's essentially a duplex now. They're essentially asking for the conditional use to be able to use it for the way that it was built. Like I say, there are two separate living quarters already in this. It's a two-story house. You probably know the one I'm talking about. It's right there on the corner, but it's a two-story house, very large living area. But inside, it's two living quarters, two separate sets of stairs, one in the front and one in the rear. Very well maintained. The only thing I saw about the house that didn't look maintained, there were some pieces of siding on the west side, that could probably be replaced. But other than that, it's very well maintained.
Yeah, and when I've been in it also, and like you said, it was well maintained. The other question I had was the meters separate. Did they have two separate meters in the house for the two different dwellings, or?
I don't
is it
recall
the same?
that, but we would require that before that we would allow them to move forward with this. They would have to separate the 2 meters just to meet fire department requirements.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Any other discussion?
Go ahead.
You just described the structure, but what is it currently being used for, the front portion? I know he has a clinic or something in the back, but what's he using the front portion for currently?
It's living quarters. Yeah, all of it is living quarters. The clinic occupies a very small area on the back where the parking lot is, and it's not being used at all now. But the 2 living quarters are on the south end of the house, and this is where they were living, is in this structure.
Okay, so they were living there while operating a clinic in the back?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay, and they're no longer there, they've moved?
That's correct.
And
yes.
the clinic is no longer active either?
That's correct, yes, sir.
And so, okay, I respectfully, George, I don't understand what you're requesting us to table this for, and what you want them to return to Jerry. Any plans that they're gonna bring, they go before all of our committees, Planning Commission, DRC, HRC, all the other alphabet soup committees that we have, before they get approval for anything, right?
Yeah, the Planning Commission voted 12-1 to approve this.
12-1?
12-1.
Okay.
And so I just can't find a cognizable purpose for tabling this to require them to bring to us what they would bring to them anyway before they get approval for anything. So I respectfully will vote against your motion if you raise it to table. And I don't see why this isn't a project we should allow to move forward. That's all I have.
Mr. Glavin?
Yeah, all right, so, well, let me back up. First of all, use by right, so he could use it as short-term rental. We don't have any skin in the game with that.
Correct, yes, sir.
So the conditional use is to just convert it to a duplex so you can use both, I guess, rooms for different purposes.
That's correct.
Okay. The other thing you said earlier, he agreed to put up a fence. Is that a verbal agreement, or is that stipulated in?
It's in the minutes of the meeting, so we would require that before we'd give them a CO to operate these.
Right, and all it entails is being in the minutes that he agreed to do that in order to make that enforceable or a requirement?
Yes, sir. They
Okay.
agreed to do that, yes, sir.
All right. So, Mr. Lawrence, I know this is in your ward, and listen, I respect if you have a reasonable amount of time that you need a little bit more time to get information. I would support your recommendation for a motion to table as long as it isn't an extended period of time, if that's what the purpose of your motion is, to get a little bit more information. You're the councilman of record in this ward, and I'd certainly support that.
That's all I was looking for. Wasn't gonna delay anything. I'm putting it all together as fast as I can. I'm gonna get all this stuff in writing from Jerry, what he has to do. Because the biggest problem, he does not follow our rules at all. And that's my problem with it. Don't say it and don't do it.
You want to make that
Oh,
motion?
right.
You making a motion for
No.
30 days?
So-
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking, George, if you want this table, our next meeting will be the 21st, which is 2 weeks. That should give you enough time? Table
Hey,
till the
that's fine.
21st?
Not trying to kill anything, trying to just find out the information. 2 weeks would be fine.
Okay,
21st.
all right.
That's reasonable.
Yeah, I was kind of like Robert in it. You have to separate the meters And before that's done, you have the fence and the minutes, and you're also separating the meter. Other than that, there's nothing else we need to really fuss a fight over, is it?
No, it's already built as a duplex. I mean,
It wasn't built as a duplex.
it's
yeah.
separated, it's, like I've said before, there
It's
are
already-
two separate living quarters in this structure. One in the front and one in the middle, and then the clinic on the rear.
So it's already separated?
Yes, sir.
Is the question I was asking. Then, of course, by rule, we have to separate the meters. And of course, what's put in the minutes is that, so other than that, I mean, what else is it that we have to ponder over? That's my question.
Get a couple of things straight.
I was just
It was a
curious.
single house. It was never built as a duplex, so don't make that statement. It was not built, it was an old two-story house built as a home. It wasn't built. He had all the stuff on it to create an office, and that's where all the problem started with him. But he kept saying he was gonna do, and he didn't do. So you can take up for him all you want. But you went through hell with that just like we all did. It was one
Okay, let's
pain
go
in
for
the
the
neck.
question.
All I'd like to do,
Mr. Lawrence
you
has
know,
made a
try to
motion
protect
to
the
table
neighbors.
it, and it's been a second by Mr. Glavin.
Yeah, I'll second it. I think just out of courthy, a two-week
For 2 weeks.
table is just reasonable courtesy.
All in favor of the motion? So 3-3. All opposed, 3.
Motion to table
So-
fails.
Motion to table fails for lack of majority. So all in favor of the resolution as presented? So 4, all against? 2? Do I have a motion on the consent agenda?
I move the consent agenda.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Who was that? Tisdale?
His
All right.
voice is different.
I know, right? Okay, Mr. Glavin, you got anything?
I don't have anything.
All right, Mr. Tisdale?
On item Y for Yahoo, this deals with, I guess, the reallocation of the MDOT grant where we're moving money from the McDonald Pass Road intersection, if I understood it correctly. And
As the council has been following along over the last few months, we've been adding funds to that project from various sources, including Gulf Coast Restoration Fund, MDOT, and so forth. So this last change was we took the funds out of a previous project, which is the intersection at McDonald, which is the lowest priority of the 3 that we did, McDonald, Rodenberg, and Iberville. So we took that $488,000 and asked MDOT to move it into the Pops Ferry Extension Project.
Gotcha.
At the same time, we also recognize an extra $1 million that we got this year from Gulf Coast Restoration Fund. I mean, from Gulf
Regional Planning.
Planning Commission. They gave us an extra $1 million for that project, so we're recognizing that fund. So that puts us in pretty good shape as we go out to bid this month. Have enough money to make an award.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you. That's all.
Okay, Mr. Deming? Okay, Mr. Guines?
I have none.
Mr. Lawrence?
Yeah, and, A, on the baseball, why did we owe them $39,000? We supposed to put up $25,000 each to maintain his property. They painted the
Okay,
steel.
the stadium sublease and use agreement contains 2 provisions that apply here. First is item 13F says that a repair or maintenance for routine maintenance in the public, in the private areas or non-public areas is the responsibility of the Shuckers. So that means their offices and so forth. it's their responsibility to pay for any kind of maintenance, or in this case, painting. Item 14C is of that same agreement, is the requirement that says any painting of public areas is eligible for payment through the fund, through the repair fund. So these were public areas that were painted by the Shuckers. So that funding is eligible for being paid out of that fund. So that's what we're asking them to do. We're asking to draw from that fund to reimburse them for that public painting that they did.
I mean, they supposed to be maintain the stadium just like we are.
Yes, they are. They have to do routine maintenance. I'm just quoting to you the terms. When we looked at this real hard, we wanted to be sure where they were painting, because if it was public areas, then it was eligible to be paid from the fund, which the maintenance fund, which they, as you know, we contribute and they contribute to. So we didn't have any, I mean, it's just a matter of, is it public or private areas that are painted? If it's public areas, then we can pay for it out of the fund. There's a long list of things that are eligible.
I don't understand if we were paying the stadium or painting the stadium, why do you get the money? That just don't make sense to me. The maintenance contract is supposed to take care of out of the area, the exposed steel, the stuff they did. I mean, y'all sure? And we giving them $39,000 to who? To the company itself? Who's the $39,000 going to?
Shoemaker painting.
That don't make
Yeah.
sense.
What doesn't make sense?
That we giving them money repairing their stadium,
It's our stadium.
huh?
It's our
Yeah,
stadium.
we leasing the stadium. So we don't have to, we repaying it, they repaying it, so why we give them the money?
There's money in the
They lease it, we leasing it from them.
Money's coming from the account designated for that maintenance. That's part of the 25, 50 that we build up. And that's eligible to be paid out of that maintenance, as I think is what Peter and Mike were saying. That's for that. The maintenance fund is to handle this type of public part of the stadium, not private, which they would handle.
And that the private includes the boxes and the areas that are not, the public is not, you can't go to a ball game and get into it unless you paying them to get in those boxes.
But I mean, all this stuff
Those
they
are
was
considered
done-
private areas.
It was all done to the outer area, the stadium itself. And it just don't make sense to me that we get that back to them. I mean,
Well, we've been living with this agreement for, what, 6 years now?
yeah, well, I mean, it's been broken so many times, I don't know if the agreement's any good anyway. Because we failed it, they failed it. Nobody maintained what they're supposed to done. So, I mean, as far as this agreement, it's been abused anyway.
Well, this is, other than scoreboard and things like that, this is the first kind of maintenance that has been done in that stadium. I mean,
This is ongoing maintenance, ongoing use, and
Yeah.
you need to repair it. I mean, I can't put it any plainer. It's, the maintenance fund is to repair these kinds of things. And that's what it is. You're paying a subcontractor for those painting jobs.
Okay, so let's get that straight. So the $39,000 goes to the contractor that did it, not to them?
Yes.
'Cause I mean, States, you said you're reimbursing this to the stadium, the Shuckers.
You're paying the subcontractor, not the Shuckers.
we're reimbursing the Shuckers for their
Baseball.
payment to the painting company. And that saves us from having to go out to bid on this. Had we ordered the painting, we would have had to follow state bid laws. They did the painting and we're reimbursing them.
Okay.
Now, they did painting other than this. They did painting in the private areas, but we didn't reimburse them for those. All they asked for is the work they had done in the public areas.
Do you have another item you'd like to discuss?
Yeah, M. On this here, we tearing down the old baseball stadium out there, the bleachers and that. Oh, we have the right to do that? We have the right of the land until Waste Utility needs it? So removing this for what reason?
Well, it's in the way, and we got permission and approval from the utility authority to remove it, because it's just a bunch of scrap metal on the property, and it's dangerous liability.
It's set on the concrete, so you can remove the concrete too?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
So what do we plan on doing?
We're demoing them. We're gonna, first of all, for the metal items, the bleachers, we're gonna sell those. And for the concrete, we're gonna demolish them. This will probably be a wash. Probably the amount of money we make on the metal is probably gonna end up being about the same as what the demo is. But these are old, the bleachers and the dugouts, and it's just an attraction for homeless. So we're going to demolish it, and we got approval from the utility authority because they're the owner of record.
So what y'all plan on doing, anything, or just clear it off?
Clear it off.
Are we planning on doing anything with it?
You clear it off. I mean, there's some talk about the use of those of the field as well as the helicopter. We've got two paved park lots, one on the utility part and one on the Mercy Cross property. They've been designated for the emergency helicopter landing. You just make it clear.
Okay, then Pete, on this, is you just extending time on this? This is about the market?
Mm-hmm.
Peter, you got that one?
Yeah. Yeah, they're at the point where they just need additional time to get the feasibility of it done. I think this is probably going to be the final extension.
So this is for us to pretty much put that grocery store, whatever, in place?
Right. We want to give them the adequate time they need to see if it's feasible to do a market. If it's not going to be a market, then we've let them know, then we're not going to be interested.
And on the MGM Stadium, here we go again. This here, they said it's concrete and the wall is washing out. So what do we plan on? Do we have to do this too, or are they gonna do this? How's that work?
This would definitely be considered a capital maintenance item, where the grass field is out in the outfield, like, I don't know what they call it, where you can go sit out there to watch the game. That wall is eroding out behind the wall. So that's why we've got this contract for a structural engineer to come in and take a look at it. It's a special kind of retaining wall they have there, so we don't have any experience in-house on that.
So this group here is studying that to see what they have to do?
To see what we need to do, yes.
And who's gonna wind up paying for all that? We all?
We'll have to figure that out. I'm not sure, because we don't, until they come in and do this study, we don't know how we need to fix it, how much it's going to cost. There's a lot of variables there.
All right. Another one on is double A. This 179,000. This is a knee case. Asking for.
We're talking about double A.
The rental of the buildings.
Right. Civic Plus is a software that's going to solve a lot of problems for us. It's going to be a one-source software for people to rent our facilities.
But it's in addition to that. It's going to be kind of
So you buy
it's the
an app
resources,
like-
but all the departmental resources when things are rented to make sure that you had enough police, enough fire, enough public works. I mean, it's a citywide application of scheduling and just organization of events.
So in the Little League,
So again?
Yeah, again, every event, special event, not a special event, requires city resources, okay? And we not hate anything, we're going to implement this software that makes sure when somebody inquires and you want to use a Little League field, for instance, that, if there's any conflict or if there's any, resources that need to be defined, this is just a one-stop shop that will handle the rental and the events that we may run across from every aspect of the event.
So this would be like a master schedule
Scheduling.
because you have different facilities managed by different departments?
That's right.
Gotcha, okay.
Parks and Recreation for the after your schedules on there, sports
But, you know,
Especially police and fire too.
yeah.
The other one on Z, this is the neat case, this is on the point, he put that extra 179,000 for change order.
Well, Z? Is a change order for new case?
Double C.
Z.
Evening, council.
Is in Zorro?
What was the specific question?
Z, either one.
He's asked to put another 179,000 on a $5 million deal.
Yes, sir. This is to do a horizontal directional drill for a 16-inch water main over by the Beauvoir condominiums in the project area. The original design by Seymour Engineering had it shown as open cut to install it, and
It crosses a fountain.
it crosses the major water fountain in front of the condominiums and a wall, bunch of landscaping. It would be very disruptive to go down the path as it was designed. So it was decided that it'd be best if we go with a directional drill like we've done in other areas of the project.
Walt, did I understand you to say this is by Beauview condominiums right there?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
good,
sir.
thanks.
Okay, thank you. And on the GG, about the library, what was it, what does this represent?
Okay, so we said the library is one of those entities that we're not really sure what's costing us. And we said this year we were going to set up a special account for any expenses that the city did on the library. And we put $25,000 into that fund. And guess what? We already spent it. We spent it on carpet, demo carpet, new carpet, HVAC, and asbestos remediation. So we're putting another 25 in there from the general fund into the library account. We're going to keep doing that this year. We're not going to spend willy-nilly, but we're going to get to the end of the year, and you have the library people up here talking to them about their subsidy next year. You'll be able to say, we spent X amount of dollars on you outside of your subsidy. We don't know that until we track it. And in this case, we had a lot of expenditures right up front in the year, including the over $100,000 for our air conditioning system. By the way, everybody's welcome next week to the grand opening, and you can look at that pretty new carpet.
Monday at 10 a.m. I'm gonna be there to see where our money's going.
Okay.
All right, the 780. When do y'all pay them the 780? Who paid? I never see that on these agendas. The 780,000.
780,000.
Yeah, that's what they approved in the budget.
Yeah, well, for the use of the libraries, they're all across the city, not just that library.
Say again?
That's what the budget is for the support of the library, the use of 4 libraries that we have.
That's our subsidy in addition to what the county pays.
I know that. I said, when do you pay them? I never see it listed as a payout. I said, I've never seen it. Yeah, it is approved. My question is, when do you pay them? And who pays them? We don't see it. That's my question to you.
We'll let you know. We'll let you know when we pay them.
Councilman, I'll get you a report tomorrow that shows that payment.
Do you have any other items you'd like to
I think
discuss?
it's monthly.
Is it monthly?
I think so.
You're done?
I said, yes, ma'am.
All right. All in favor of the consent agenda? No? Okay.
Mr. Mayor, they were talking about M, and he moved to S before anyone else got to contribute any thoughts on M. I just am curious about M. Mercy Cross is the item. We have a leasehold, right? And typically you can't mess with structures in a leasehold or fixtures on land. What's our relationship with Mercy Cross and the ownership of that property? I know Paul Tisdale said, it's basically our ex-girlfriend. We're on and off with leasing this land over and over.
This is the utility authority property that
You woke me up.
that we have use of.
Okay,
Yeah.
take mercy.
Take mercy on me. No, take the Mercy Cross property as it exists and basically draw a line through the middle of it, with the northernmost border being equal with the wastewater treatment plant and going over to the bayou. That's the future expansion that the utility authority, that they own. They own that property.
I got
They're
you.
the owner. So we have a use agreement with the utility authority. They have no immediate use for the property,
At this time.
whether it be for helicopter landing, maybe a lay-down yard for public works, international soccer field, there's always room for that. So that's with that. The northern half is still owned by the diocese, and they have a use agreement with Loaves and Fishes as well up there for the gym area. But the city still uses the north half of that for, again, could be a lay-down yard, helicopter. And so our agreement with the diocese is, it's a free lease as long as we will cut the grass, basically.
Okay. Thank you. I'm gonna go to FF, and I know Ms. K is here. I want to understand FF a little. I know in it says, and one thing that what got me, it says Main Street's going to gift its interest in the facilities or the faculties, or I don't know the facilities under the bridge, what those are. Is that just porta potties that they're gifting to us for maintenance and operation of? Or do we have functional facilities under that bridge?
This is plus the pickleball courts that have been placed into service, the banners that have been placed on the columns, and at least what they put in, their improvements they put in, is basically to turn that over to the city.
Put the microphone here.
So we can deal with things like if there is future maintenance of the courts or things like that. But at this point, since that phase is now complete, it's essentially them, us recognizing that those facilities, the court, the net is being donated to the city.
No structure.
Yeah, there are no structures. I think the murals are sort of separate fabric pieces. There's also some lighting in the trees that they paid for.
Okay, I just saw that facilities or faculties or whatever the word was in the text, and I wasn't sure if that was referring to just the portalets that were there. That's all I have. Thank you for the understanding. Madam President, I'm through.
Call for the question on the consent agenda. All in favor? Unanimous vote. This brings us to code enforcement. Oh, do we have any exceptions on the consent today? All right.
Item A on the agenda, Patricia Thomas Boget, 321 Crusader Drive. This property is still in violation.
Mm-hmm. Is there anyone here to speak on behalf of Patricia at 321 Crusaders Drive? If not, this case is closed.
Item B, Melanie A. Carroll, 379 Porter Avenue. This property is still in violation.
Is there anyone here to speak on behalf of Melanie Carroll at 379 Porter Avenue? If not, this case is closed.
Item C, Reginald Collar, 337 Fayard Street. This property is still in violation.
Is there anyone here to speak on behalf of Reginald Collier at 337 Fayard Street? If not, this case is closed.
Hold on.
Wait, what?
I did talk to him, and he was supposed to have that cleared up. I don't know what happened. He sent his lawn people out there. They must have went to the other one because they did clear up. You did clear up the one on the other side.
Yes, sir.
So what I'll do is I'll just give me 30 days to call them
Okay.
and have that wrapped up. I'll stress which one he needs
Got
to
a
get.
motion by Mr. Guines for 30 days. Do I have a second? I'll second it. All in favor? Unanimous votes. Moving on to D.
Item D, Edward F. Dawson, 332 Cruces Street. That case has been resolved. Item E, Augusta and Carolyn Ruth Hathorn, 1688 Vine Street. That case has been resolved. Item F, Quang An Hong, 156 Rossetti Street. This property is still in violation.
Anyone here to speak on behalf of Quang Hong Kong at 156 Rossetti Street? If not, this case is closed.
Item G, Institution Properties LLC, 309 Fayard Street. That case has been resolved. Item H, Randall G. James Jr., 161 Rossetti Street. That case has been resolved. Item I, On and Tro Win et al., 364 Cruces Street. This property is still in violation.
Anyone here to speak on behalf of On and Tro Win at 364 Cruces Street? If not, this case is closed.
Item J, Mark Raymond et al., 171 Claiborne Street. That case has been resolved. Item K, State of Mississippi, 334 Cruces Street. This property is still in violation.
Anyone here to speak on behalf of the state of Mississippi at 334 Cruces Street?
Hey, Jerry, what do you actually do with the state?
Well, what they allow us to do, they send us a letter that allows us to move forward with the case, and whatever money we spend to clean up the property, we're allowed to add it to the tax rolls. Now, the state doesn't pay the taxes, but if somebody comes in to redeem that property, that special assessment has to be satisfied. So ultimately, we'll wind up getting our money back.
So the state's not keeping it clean, so they don't clean it anything.
No, sir.
All right, this case is closed.
Item L, Francis and Patricia A. Strain, 389 Lee Street. That case has been resolved. Item M, Sang Van and Ben Nok Tran, 356 Maple Street. That case has been resolved. And item N, James N. Stringer, 8162 Jack Graves Road. That property is still in violation.
Mr. Tisdale, did you have a question?
Yeah, not on this particular item. Maybe when this case is closed, before Jerry gets up, I have a question.
Gotcha. All right. Anyone here to speak on behalf of James Stringer at 8162 Jack Graves Road? If not, this case is closed.
Question, Jerry, just on the Vietnamese homeowners, when they receive their documents or notice or whatever, do they receive it in English or Vietnamese? Or
It's sent out in English, but in these cases, nothing was signed. It came back. One of those houses was actually vacant. We're not sure if the owners passed away or just walked away from the property.
I'm just thinking, I know it takes some time to do that, but maybe if the forms could be translated so that if they're Vietnamese, you can send an English and a Vietnamese version. Just
We could do that. We'll
I'm
get with Sea Peoples. They're usually good about doing that to help us translate. So we'll.
Thank you. All right, thank you.
Do you have a motion on the routine agenda?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Tisdale. Second by Mr. Guines. Any discussion, Mr. Lawrence?
Ms. Walt, are you still here? Give us a quick update, Walt.
Thank you, council. The $2.05 million that I mentioned at our last meeting, today is the 15th day. I spoke to our accounts department. We should have it into our city accounts tomorrow. So $2.05 million, we should have it in there tomorrow.
And anything behind it?
The 879 behind that, according to MEMA, and then another 935,000 after that.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other discussion? All in favor of the routine agenda? Unanimous vote. Do we have a motion to recess?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Tisdale, seconded by Mr. Guines. All in favor? Unanimous votes. Meetings recessed.